of the Prophet ﷺ, or to say this is fabricated, this is weak, because that's not appropriate. And again, I know it comes from a noble place, so I'm not saying that in a way of putting anyone down, but in a way of appreciating the sentiment, but at the same time, just be very careful to not be hasty with something like that before you type in a comment or something of those sorts. The second thing is that there's a difference between saying that the night might have some virtue to it, and there are particular acts, specific acts that are legislated for that night. So let's break that down a little bit. And one of the things about the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is it's remarkably consistent. And that's something that I love about our Prophet ﷺ, and I love that you can find the connection between the various acts of worship, the various ibadat in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. So if you went through the full webinar, and if you go through the infographic, the notes, you'll find that the way the Prophet ﷺ described the month of Sha'ban as a whole is very similar to how the Prophet ﷺ described the days of Monday and Thursday. And then within, so that's midweek, Monday and Thursday are spaced out in the week. And then within the day, the time after Fajr and the time after Asr, which are, if you think about Monday and Thursday, they correlate to Fajr and Asr in the day. Sha'ban is the month between Rajab and Ramadan, right? And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said it's a forgotten month and people overlook it. And he also said ﷺ that it is a month in which the deeds are presented to Allah. And we talked about this concept that the deeds are presented to Allah on a daily basis, in the morning at Fajr time, and then Asr in the afternoon. They're presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a weekly basis on Monday and Thursday. And then Sha'ban as a month as a whole, the Prophet ﷺ said the deeds are presented to Allah annually in the month of Sha'ban, just as we go into Ramadan. Now that hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah looks out at His creation and forgives everyone except for a person who is a mushrik or a mushahin, someone who is an idolater or holds maliciousness, some malice in their hearts. There's another hadith that is so consistent with that hadith that I want you to just listen to it. So this hadith is from Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The Prophet ﷺ said, تُفْتَحُ أَبْوَابُ الْجَنَّةِ يَوْمِ الْإِثْنَيْنِ وَيَوْمِ الْخَمِيسِ. The gates of paradise are opened on the day of Monday and the day of Thursday. فَيَغْفِرُ لِكُلِّ عَبْدٍ لَا يُشْرِكُ بِاللَّهِ شَيْئًا إِلَّا رَجُلًا كَانَتْ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ أَخِيهِ شَحْنَاء فَيُقَالْ أَنظِرُوا هَذَيْنِ حَتَّى يَصْطَلِحَا أَنظِرُوا هَذَيْنِ حَتَّى يَصْطَلِحَا. So the Prophet ﷺ said that the gates of paradise are open every Monday and Thursday. And Allah forgives every single person, every one of His creation, except for someone who associates a partner with Him. Okay, so again, mushrik, which is similar to the hadith of Sha'ban, and someone كانت بينه وبين أخيه شحناء, someone that holds deep hatred in their heart for their brother. Okay, so two people who hold spite, maliciousness, hatred between each other. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أنظروا هذين حتى يصطلحا. Leave these two until they reconcile. SubhanAllah, this hadith is consistent with the hadith about Sha'ban, of how the deeds are presented to Allah and what that correlates to in terms of what's expected of us in order to gain the reward, literally to the words shirk and shahna. Okay, idolatry and shahna, which is spite, hatred, maliciousness. And I'm going to get to shahna in a moment, inshallah, and what that means and what we can do with it. All right.